Hi, and welcome to this talk of mine about um, a solution to mental suffering, a solution to burden of mind, a solution to mental illness, as well as mind-body points, and beyond that, the solution to psychology, to philosophy, to existential questions, and being, and this world in general. Um, and I have walked now with forgiving myself, with forgiving my mind connections, you might call it, my connections to my mind programs, um, my mind depth, my mind body connections. Because, like Bob Marley sings it, no one but ourselves can free our minds. No one but ourselves can free our minds. And that is very true. And that is why we need to learn self-forgiveness, to heal ourselves, to forgive ourselves, to learn to embrace ourselves and love ourselves properly and through and through. I mean, I used to be a patient in the healthcare system in Norway. I used to be committed to hospital very often, frequently. Um, and I had more than 100 commitments to hospital over a period of 10 years. So, uh, but since 2013, I have not uh, been committed to hospital. Since 2013. Um, that is because I started to work my way to understand my mind, to understand my mind, body, being connections. That was because I started to forgive myself, to move myself slowly but ever so surely from the old consciousness to the awareness, the physical awareness. Moving from the conscious wall, the self-torture, the picture screen, the imaginary, the polarity, personality, the emotions, the feelings, the despair, the anger, the depression, the sorrow, the hate, the desires, the fantasy, the mind games, the games of our minds. Moving from that and that illness that is, I'm sure you know some of this, that the mind with its programs work on us as a form of cancer. The mind is cancer in itself, and so um, it makes us sick. It keeps us in a lockdown position of inferiority to the mind. And within that inferiority of self comes a seemingly endless long list of problems which we see in this modern world. So, um, what I'm trying to say here is that from me being diagnosed with schizophrenia back in the days in 2003, learning to work with forgiving myself since 2011, 2012, have marginalized my schizophrenia to a very far degree. Forgiving myself with the tools provided by destiny. Forgiving myself with the tools, the self-help tools provided by destiny I process, have literally healed me. I have forgiven myself. I have healed myself over a long period of years, over a lot of writing, over a lot of self-communication, over self-intimacy, over self-honesty, responsibility, self-trust, and so on. Learning self-trust, self-honesty, responsibility, intimacy is something that comes along with walking with destiny I process. Walking with destiny I process comes also with learning self-trust, self-confidence, integrity, responsibility, forgiveness, self-honesty, self-awareness. You know, the list of empowerment, potential, and self-discovery is infinite. And this I learn from working on myself, from working on me, the layers of my mind, to understand what it is, to understand the systems, and change my patterns, change my behavior, change my being, change my nature, change my psychology, and then change my, living. From the suffering, schizophrenic, being in addictions, being in sabotage, in uproar, in hate, in fear, in addictions, lots of trouble. Being the schizophrenic, being in trouble, till today, being integrated, responsible, self-intimate, self-trust, self-honesty, literally a endless amount of self-empowerment potential from walking my destiny I process. From walking my destiny I process with forgiving myself, with healing myself. I forgive me. And this is not done overnight. We can't just say, I forgive myself for all I've ever done, finish. It doesn't work like that. Just like the mind is rigged with a lot of systems and components and units and devices and points and programs and energies and constructs, this takes time, obviously. If not, we wouldn't have been where we are in this heavy, heavy, heavy matrix, fucked up system of where we live. And it's all rooted back at the self. So like I said, this is not done overnight. So there is no excuse for not doing this. I mean, I am living proof, together with very many other people who walk the destiny I process, who can say and prove how they have changed, how they have stood up from their previous mind suffering and mental illness into a better version of self, into an improved self, into a better living reality. And this is, it's like a point of no return. Definitely. In a very, very good way. in an endlessly good way. I have been walking the desteni process now for a little over 6 years, and it has gifted me. I have gifted myself. It have gifted me. I have forgiving myself. It is no God or Buddha or Jesus or Krishna. It's not something else forgiving me. It's me forgiving myself. And that is self-healing, self-therapy, self-help, which is what we all are crying for and yelling for and screaming for, because we're living, all of us living in a certain points. All of us are living certain points. Trauma, drama, bad memories, things that occurred 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, things that happened in our life that had a big impact on us. The things that shape us through our behavioral patterns, our thinking, our body language, our nature, our psychology, our jobs, our family, our choices, our relationships, our appearance. Things happened to us when we were, for instance, young and or adolescents, and we're growing up, and this thing happened, boom, like a memory, has a huge impact. It could be a drama, it could be a trauma, it could be a death, it could be something happened to us that made a huge impact on us as a being. It could be several things. Point is, we are left to live with this tumbling rocks within us, this anxiety, this ball of fear or depression or hate within us, like an onion with layers of programming and behavior and layers of memories and suppression and denial, addictions and whatever. That we stack upon this little ball of cancer, of suppressed and denied self-story, which is obviously something that we need to forgive because it's living within us. We have this energetic fear or jealousy or hate or depression or sorrow, deep or whatever emotion. We have it all. All has this. We all equally fucked like this. I mean, we have this emotion, this ball deep within our mind, deep within our body, that is shaping our reality, that is shaping and designing our living worlds. And this ball is covered with words, with dimensions, with suppressions, with patterns, with nature, with everything. And so what we do at Destiny is to, desteni process is to open up these onions, you might call them, by in self-honesty, opening up to ourselves. What made me? Why am I here? What brought me to this, through this here-ness? What brought me here? What happened to me? Who am I? What am I doing here on earth? Why am I on earth? All these questions and more, we go all the way to self, to find answers, to work out solutions by forgiving the many energetic and polarities and conscious constructs and designs and thoughts and bad memories and traumas and dramas, by forgiving it all in great detail. And this is something that I can say is a cure to mental illness. I've been saying this for years now. My breathing is totally different than it was 10 years ago. I have lifted off my chest endless amounts of emotions, of burden, of blame, of guilt and sorrow and fear and depression and so much stuff that I have just emptied out and just made vaporize in in by me forgiving myself and changing my way, forgiving and changing my pattern so that I don't recreate those same emotions, so that I don't recreate those same patterns of behavior. So this is definitely a point of self honesty, of opening up to self, of looking into self, into me I see. And you know, I am one living proof that that forgiveness is working. Self-forgiveness is working. It is applicable. It is working for me. I have marginalized. I have marginalized my schizophrenia from walking my destiny process, from working on myself all the time with forgiving myself, with setting myself free from the matrix of my mind. And this is the solution that we all have been waiting for. This is the remedy we have all been waiting for. Because, you know, yeah, like Bob Marley sings that none but ourselves can free our minds. So there is no excuse to not listen to this message that I bring to you. And either whatever your problem is, we are all mentally suffering today on this earth. Either schizophrenia or ADHD, or if you're just a ordinary student guy or whatever, working or unemployed or weed addict or porn addict, or you are homeless or a teacher or a lawyer or banker or you're a farmer or whatever. We're all equally fucked up beyond. It's no joke. So the best solution that I can recommend for you is to start walking a process with forgiving self. And the best system that is with this intent is with walking a desteni process. And there is no reason to do not do this. There is only excuses. There is only excuses to not do this, which are self-deception. And you're missing out on a grand opportunity if you turn this down. You're missing out on a grand opportunity of investigating and exploring and opening up self, of discovering self, discovering self and who self is. And I've been walking this for 6 years now, and I'm still discovering and realizing stuff every day that is just beyond. And it's beyond, and it's incredible. It's immensely empowering, and still we are in this world, this physical reality, with all these abusive systems and components of this world. And um, it's I mean, we can create a better reality, we can create a better world, and we can sit here and blame and project all we want, but eventually it is all back to self. No matter how easy it is to blame the bankers or blame the war machine or the whatever families or the east, west, north, south, religious, blame some religion or blame somebody when it's all rooted back itself. Everything is rooted back itself. And that is a endless empowering potential. Since everything is rooted back itself, obviously. So check out the links. Check out, I mean, if you have questions about this, please let me know. Check out the links. There is no excuse to not forgive self. Why not forgive self? I mean, what will you answer to the children when you ask you, why are you not doing everything you can? Why are we not doing everything that we can to create a better world, starting with ourselves? Why are we all not doing everything we can to create a better world and reality, starting with forgiving self? Can you please look in the mirror? Why are we not doing everything we can to change this world into a better place by starting with self and forgiving the self and embracing and loving and caring and becoming responsible, becoming honest and integrated and intimate and real, physical with self? The best way to do this, without comparison whatsoever, is to forgive the self. Obviously, I'm living proof. So, you know, there is no excuse to not walk this. Like I said, it's a point of no return in a endlessly good way. So this is yet again another call of mine to try to reach out to people who are suffering from addictions, from trauma, from drama, from emotions, from personalities, from polarities, from conscious bothers and pains and addictions to mind, slaving to mind, basically. I'm telling you, there is no reason why you should not let that go. You can start by letting that go today if you want to. If you want to, let's start to let go of fears, of addictions, of personalities that are bothersome, of polarities, of whatever diagnosis you may call it. If you want to start to find some inner peace, some inner calm, if you want to find some real physical inner groundedness, stability, honesty with self, if you would like to find some honesty of self, some stability of self, some groundedness of self, some integrity, some worth, some value, I'm telling you, destiny, I process, is the process to walk. We have, if you start to investigate this, you will see this gradually more and more that, okay, now I see this, makes sense. It is it is it is beyond. It is beyond. And all the mystery, all the questions, the pyramids, or water, or aliens, or Jesus, or whatever questions you might have, I'm telling you, we know this now. We know all of it. And you also know now. You also know now that you also need to walk with self-forgiveness. And knowing without living, without applying, is, what we see today. Everybody knows that I must start changing my ways. I must start changing my ways if I am to see some change in this world. So why are we not doing it? Why are we just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting? It's insanity. It's insanity to wait and not do this. You're postponing and making your process harder, longer, and tougher for self to go through. The sooner we can start by really investigating self, looking into self, forgiving the self with the tools provided by destiny, forgiving the self, letting go of mental slavery, letting go of all the abuse and bullshit, and becoming sanity here, oneness and equality, grounded, rooted, real, love, breath, sanity. Not the mind, separation, consciousness, ego, thinking, feelings, emotions. That is all a deception. That is all a huge box of lies. So, please check out the links. Feel free to ask me questions. We know we must change. Are you awake yet? This is a real wake-up call. Are you going to hear me and follow my advice? Or are you going to ignore and deceive yourself and make your process and your suffering longer? I have walked through an immense amount of schizophrenic and addictive, what should I say, garbage. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of schizophrenic and addictive and cultural and matrix and mind garbage stuff, programs, designs, tricks and traps, mindfucks, egoism, thinking, consciousness, imagination, feelings and emotions. And I said, I worked my way through a great deal of that, and forgiving it all in detail, and letting it go, and changing my nature, changing myself, from understanding what the fuck what was in my mind in the first place, from understanding myself as the mind, and then changing myself in real time application. So, um, if you want to end the war and end the suffering of humanity, if you want to save the poor and save the sick and the deprived and heal the wounded, start by working with self-forgiveness with the tools provided by Destiny. We also have a free course, Destiny Art Process Lite, which is free of charge, with buddy support. We will get to learn with self-forgiveness and self-correction. The Pro course costs some euro a month, but if you self-honestly cannot afford that, it can be sponsored to you. So there's no excuse. Are you with or are you not? I'm reaching out a hand here, equalizing myself to you and asking, are you with me or are you not with me? It's about self-forgiving self. It is the ultimate self-help tool. and it will change our living, our existence, our earth, our world. It will change, or this goes beyond all the conspiracy theories on the YouTube and all that stuff. Go straight through that and say, we're here. It goes straight through all that stuff and it says, wake up, we are here. So, yeah, check out the links and enjoy.